Hello, fellow educators, fellow Rabbonim, Rebbeim. Just want to take the opportunity, maybe especially right before Parshas Miketz, where the pasuk tells us that the Shiftei Kah looked back and they said the reason why we are in this terrible predicament of having to leave Shimon behind and now face Yaakov Avinu and ask him for Binyamin to bring back to the viceroy of Mitzrayim is because B'schan Aleinu v'lo Shemanu. Because when our brother called out 20 years ago for us, and we did not heed that call, and we were insensitive to the cries and the pleas of our brother, that's why this is all happening to us. And certainly we all know that the tsuris out there is incredible. There's so much pain and difficulties, and we need Yeshuas and Refuas for so many members of Klal Yisrael. But I have to share with you that this mentality of trying to circle the wagons. As a head of a Mossad, I understand fully what it is when a Rebbe is accused of molestation. What happens to the mentality of a Mossad is very easy to sort of, oh my gosh, this is going to bring us down. What are we going to do? We have to protect the Mossad. That seems to be our first and foremost focus. We put in so many years. How could we let this, it'll be a scandal, it'll destroy us. And somehow we see so many cases. It's literally, it's hard to imagine. We see case after case of people sort of being smuggled quietly away, moved on to other towns, moved on to other cities where they can do the exact same things to other children. And we sort of just we feel that we've done the right thing. And again, I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to my fellow educators. It is unthinkable that such a strategy is prudent. First, maybe on the most practical level, it's foolish in the sense that it always comes back to haunt us. That the Chil Hashem factor that we're dealing with, when it gets discovered that we put things under the rug, lahavdil of those, what we see with the archdiocese, the bush and chlima that they have had to deal with over the last 10 years of the cover-ups, one after another. And to think that that's going to work, to think that somehow by passing something off, that's even going to protect, it's going to bring the Mossad even further down. On a personal level, yes, it was not with the Jew, but I had in the mid 90s we had who was mamish a day before Pesach. A child comes to me saying that he molested me. We immediately encouraged him to speak to the police. He called the police. He was arrested. He was a secular principal of the school. He had an administrative position, a very beloved fellow in the school, and literally there was not a peep, there was not a boo about the situation. He was removed from the school. We told the parents, we told the community this is what we did. We had an accusation, a concern. We let the police investigate it. We let them determine right and wrong until he was not allowed back in any contact with any child in the school. And it was known. It was a known situation. We didn't cover it up. And Baruch Hashem, it did not leave a mark at all on the school. When Rebbeim are protected, when administrators are protected, it doesn't matter who it is, but to protect them it's putting the Mossad into greater jeopardy. And what about B'schan Aleinu v'lo Shemanu? What about the cries of those children? The children who have been impacted, who have been molested, the future potential victims in other cities. Where's the mentality? There's no, it's hard to in any way imagine. I understand fully that, yes, we get nervous, we get frightened. I talked about this. I recently wrote a few months ago, I wrote an article about it, and it raised a little bit of a storm in some circles in the East Coast. And I went to my alma mater is Yeshiva Chavetz Chaim, and I gave a vad there one night, and I spoke about this issue. They asked me why I wrote the article, what motivated me, and I said, look at what's going on. There's so many case after case after case where people are still back in their, they're back teaching, they're staying in the same profession. They should never be around children anymore. One situation should be enough to say if a person is guilty of molestation, and if you're not sure if he's guilty, you check it out. You bring in the authorities. We can't do the investigation. It's hard for us to really know how effective are we in determining what's going on. We have to call in proper authorities to figure out, to make sure we're not being oivel l'sam al dam riyecha. And they asked me and said, well, Rabbi, what are you talking about? And if this was your child, that's what you would do? Some of them asked me. And I responded, if this was my child, I would hope that I have the strength to say to my child, you're going to hurt another child? You're going to destroy another life? What are you doing? I have to. As much as it pains me to have you spend time in jail, if that's what's going to take to protect another Jewish child, do I want another Ritzicha on my child's cheshbon? That's what I want. It's all on my back, on my cheshbon. So where's the mentality to say, let's keep it quiet, let's move it along, let's not make a big deal, let's try to find a way to shush off the parent, intimidate the parents, intimidate the child. It's all lo yumin kiyasuper. It doesn't even b'chal make sense in the slightest form of rational behavior. And yet we see it again and again and again. So I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to fellow educators and fellow mechanchim, but we have to stand firm and strong and understand it is not going to help us. It's going to bring us down. We are going to be implicated the same way. And if we cover it up, but we send somebody off to another school, all those neshamas are going to be on our heads. So Bez Hashem, if we realize that the true achrayus, just to think that after 20 years, the Ramban says worse than the actual sin of the Mechira was a sin of Bischan Aleinu V'lo Shemanu. We were deaf to the cries of our brother. These are our Talmidim. These are our children. This is even closer than a brother. This is a ben. These are our children. How could we be impervious to their calls, to their pain, to their suffering? And this is deep suffering. The damage being done. This is much worse than the people are very quick to turn over people who steal silver from shuls. They're ready to say steal items from shuls. Give them to the cops. Then they would have no problem with giving them over to the police. They're stealing from us. And when they're stealing our children's self-esteem, their self-worth, their emotional and mental well-being. That's not worse. That's much worse. That's mamish ritzich on the most fundamental level. So Bez Hashem, if we all together, whatever segment of Klal Yisrael we're from this is a plague that does not hit only one side of the community. This hits all aspects of Klal Yisrael, all aspects of Torah Dikamoistas. This is possible. You can have a sick person, it could be anywhere. There's no one community that can say this is not a problem that we have to deal with. We all have to deal with it on any level. If Bez Hashem, we realize the only way, there's only one thing that Kadosh Baruch Hu expects of us is to protect those children and to stand up and be strong and to do the right thing and to avoid a disgraceful chil Hashem and to avoid future etzichas and to fulfill our absolute mandate and obligation of L'Samar Adam Recha. Bez Hashem, in the schus of Bischan Noyeleinu. Okay, Vishamanu, when they call out that we did respond, Bez Hashem, it'll be a truly a Chanukah, Bez Hashem, that we can all celebrate with true light, with a true commitment that first and foremost, never ever to circle the wagons and sort of say, okay, what are we going to do with this problem? How are we going to deal with this problem? What do you mean, how are we going to do it? There's only one way to deal with the problem. Make sure he doesn't do it again. Make sure that the children are protected from this individual. You want to make sure that it's not a flippant accusation, kol hakavod. But that of course, that's very easy to determine. I've spoken to many people who have experienced with hundreds of different molesters and hundreds and thousands of cases. It's extremely rare that a child will make this accusation and it's some flippant, never happened, complete fabrication, extremely rare. You want to make sure it's not one of those cases, kol hakavod. Make sure that this kid is not an unstable kid who's making it up. But to rest till you can make sure that that's not the case. Chas v'shalom. Bez Hashem will be zoicha to listen to the cries of our brothers. Bez Hashem will be zoicha to stand up for the sake of Gans Klal Yisrael. And that's chus b'zoicha to be as Mashiach Meir. Thank you so much.